Vermont Senator and presidential candidate Bernie Sanders is in Iowa for the new year. At a supporter's home in Des Moines earlier today, he pressed the need for changes to the nation's health care system and promised Medicare for All legislation in the first week he's in office. Later, he spoke to reporters, calling the current system cruel and dysfunctional.
We spent twice as much as the people of any other country. 87 million remain uninsured or underinsured, and 500,000 people go bankrupt. That is indefensible.
CBS News 2020 campaign reporter Cara Korte is in Des Moines, Iowa, covering the Sanders campaign. So, Cara, speaking of health care, Senator Sanders had a health scare earlier this year, but we understand his doctor released an update this week. How is the senator doing now?
That's right, Elaine. Remember that Senator Bernie Sanders suffered a heart attack on October 1st earlier this year, and actually 3 of his doctors released letters to the press, to the public yesterday. One was the congressional doctor that all members of the Senate see, and 2 were cardiologists from the University of Vermont, his home hospital, which is where he went after he suffered that heart attack in Las Vegas. He was recuperating in Burlington and saw those doctors there. Their letters, they were not full medical records, as some might think when they hear that someone's medical records were released. They were letters. They were summaries from these 3 doctors saying that he was in good health. He has no problem sustaining himself in this race. They said that he has passed stress tests, echocardiograms. He has come off beta blockers and blood thinners since experiencing that heart attack, and that his heart is strong. So 3 doctors telling us that Senator Bernie Sanders is in good health, and there's no reason to believe that he has any kind of heart problems since that October heart attack.
All right. Well, the senator has faced questions about whether his policies, Medicare for All and the Green New Deal, could lead to job cuts. Tell us about those exchanges and how Senator Sanders is navigating those kinds of questions.
Yes, Elaine, we're in Iowa now. Just a couple of days ago, Senator Sanders was campaigning in New Hampshire, and over a period of 2 days, he was asked 4 times by 4 different voters, what would happen to my job? One woman asked, what would happen to my father's job, who works in the energy sector, if the Green New Deal eradicates many energy jobs? Same question came up with someone who worked in the insurance industry, who said if Medicare for All is implemented and the government is running all of insurance, what happens to my job for a private company? Sanders' response to those people is that he has transition plans in place. He has a 5-year plan when it comes to the Green New Deal. Anyone who would lose their jobs, perhaps a coal miner or someone in the energy or gas field, would have 5 years. They would essentially get what is a pension. They would get wages and also teaching to help them transition into a new job. He says that with Medicare for All, with the Green New Deal, jobs would be created. And so if you unfortunately lose your job, what he's promising is the time and the resources to learn new skills to get yourself into this new industry that he's trying to create.
Well, there are only 34 days until the Iowa caucuses. How does the Sanders campaign plan to handle this final stretch?
Yeah, 34 days. Everyone is counting each one here. Sanders believes that they are in very good shape. As we just said, he suffered a heart attack in October, and since then his polls have just continued a steady but slow incline. And what they believe over the next 34 days is that their grassroots movement is going to push them over the edge. You saw him this morning knocking doors here outside of Des Moines. They said that they've so far knocked over 250,000 doors across the state. They want to double that number by January. So when the caucuses come on February 3rd, they believe that between the grassroots energy, mobilizing young people who have never voted before, and mobilizing working class people who maybe voted for President Trump or are disenfranchised with government and political promises, they believe that they're going to win here in Iowa and move on to the rest of the first in the nation states.
All right, 34 days and counting. Cara Korte for us. Cara, thank you so much.
Thank you, Elaine.